I just know there were some people that made a trail, and we Hansel and Gretel all the time. Eventually you get to this level where we got to take them out, right? And so they end up taking all the pines out. You know, going to shove that knife down in a peanut butter jar. Yeah, that's where it came from. So don't for a minute. There's always a solo boar. They're always migrating from one area to another. And so bait sites like this are good to lock them in. We didn't get him on this bait site. California. I've dropped gates from Missouri. I've dropped gates from Florida. I've dropped gates from all over the place. All right, we're back at it. It's Sunday evening, about 5 o'clock. Got back from Montgomery a couple hours ago. We left early yesterday morning. It's about a 3.5 hour drive. Wyatt was in a baseball tournament up there and watched him play in 2 games. I was a little tired after being in Central Florida, getting in late. So had a full belly on one of the games and drifted in the chair sitting in that warm sun. But stayed in a hotel last night up in Montgomery. Got batteries recharged. According to my smart stupid watch, I got 69 volts out of 100 volts. So that's really good for me. Got Wyatt's truck fixed in Montgomery. Steve's muffler shop, thank you very much. They welded his exhaust up. He liked the idea of it being so loud, but I told him that wasn't a good idea. When he gets older and gets on his own, he can run him a straight pipe on a diesel if he wants to. But we're back home, fixing to run up and do maintenance on 2 systems we got going on. And a little update from Florida. The hogs, if you follow the videos, the hogs were at the bait site. They have been staying at the bait site. So we moved the trap to where the bait site was at, and then moved the bait site to where the trap was at, which we'll do a lot. For whatever reason, the hogs went to the bait site. So it's like, well, hell, what do we move the trap for? But anyway, they've eaten all the corn that's at the bait site. So they know where the original location was at. So we're confident they'll head back that way. A little frustrating, but that's trapping hogs 101. Anytime you run a bait site relatively close to a trap, or when I say close, a mile, you run this risk where they'll just go back and forth. But good news is we've got that taste in their mouth. They got that corn in their mouth. They want it bad now. They were on that bait site from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. So that's a good thing. But other than that, got the Tacoma loaded up, got the 4-wheeler loaded up. Just gonna make a quick run here. Hit one bait site and then one trap, and then bring it back to the house, and we got to hit it again tomorrow morning, and then we're headed to Central Florida tomorrow afternoon. So probably nothing too exciting today, but good to be with most of the families. They've stayed behind to hold the fort down and take care of the baby, and we're also babysitting our diesel mechanic's dog. But had a good time with the bride, and Wyatt got to get some ball time in, so that was good. But we're fixing to head out. Alrighty, beautiful evening here in South Georgia. Coming up here in the Tacoma. For some of you it may seem a little crazy, but still a beautiful evening. 97 degrees, 6 o'clock in the evening. But back here in the background, it's what we call the 53. Our first YouTube video was done right here with an iPhone, so we've advanced a little bit. So that was about a month ago. We were up here for maintenance. It's just a bait site that we run year round. I'm standing on the fender of the micro hog trailer. So this was all planted pines on its last stand of planted pines. Hopefully I won't fall off this fender. And so what happened was it was logged, clear-cutted to get that last stand out, okay? So now it will be replanted in smaller pines, and then they'll grow up, and the cycle starts over again. So it's a crop. I mean, timber's a crop. A little bit different crop. You think of something you can eat, but a lot of money in timber, and we need it. But anyway, this little hole over here is always generally kind of wet. It's starting to finally go down. When we did the first YouTube video, I was wearing hip waders. I won't have to wear hip waders today going in there. and I could actually drive almost all the way up to it with the pickup truck, but it's still a little too wet for that. So we're going to do maintenance on that feeder, just a feeder and a camera, bait site, back this direction, straight back through them woods back that way. We run a trap year round on that, and that's next to a pretty big non-irrigated field. So a lot of bait and switch here. You heard us talk about that. We'll have hogs come to this. They'll come regularly to this. We know that that's one of their travel patterns, to go that direction through some trees that direction, and we'll shut this off, and generally they'll work their way right to the trap. And it works pretty good most of the time. So anyway, a little unusual here. This is not our farmer's property. This is actually an adjoining landowner who allows us to do what we're doing. So working together, which is kind of cool, because what we're doing is protecting a crop field on that side and protecting a crop field on that side. And so we trap this part of 2 counties really hard. We got a lot of systems running up here year round, just because they got a lot of hogs. So get a little bit better view today of the 53 versus hip waders. So let me get the 4-wheeler off, load up some corn, get the batteries, and get back to it. So we're over here at the bait site. Basically, it's just a 4-pole on-time feeder. Up here we've got Hog Cutters big pole, same thing we use everywhere. I did notice some a little bit of hog rooting on the other side there, kind of close to where the truck's at. Now that's not uncommon. We're always going to have a single boar. I mean, solo boars roaming the ground looking for hot sows, looking for food. I don't care how hard you work, how many systems you run, it don't matter. There's always a solo boar. They're always migrating from one area to another. And so bait sites like this are good to lock them in. We didn't get him on this bait site, but just a little bit of rooting back over that way that I'll hit it with the camera when we head that direction. But most people that are in the business, or most people who have hog problems, eventually realize you're never going to get rid of all of them, like cockroaches and a mouse and whatever else that's aggravating as hell. So we don't let it discourage us. Now, like our property that we're running down in Florida, we started to get an abundance of highly educated solo boars. I mean, highly educated. Sometimes that's where shooting them with a thermal can come in. But we've talked about some of the liability issues with that, logistics with it, manpower issues with that. So in this particular case down there, we're having good success using the, it's called the Closure by Southern Hog Control, but we call it the Chief Trap. So we've taken out 3 old, slick Florida boars, and they're gone. They're out of the equation. But anyway, so let's go ahead and do our maintenance here real quick. We're going to buzz over there to the actual trap. And as you can see, if you saw our first YouTube video, I was in hip waders for that guy right there. And now, I mean, I'm in rubber boots, and I don't even need rubber boots here. It's pretty dry. You can hear it, but it's good and moist. So that's what that boar was doing over there. He was taking advantage of that moisture. Alrighty. Alright, we finished up at the bait site. Kind of off here a little ways. Kind of want to explain to you the replanting process for these pines and why, some of you may not understand. I mean, it's big money. So now that the old pines are taken out, there'll be a process to get the ground ready for planting. They're going to come back in with seedling pine trees, little bitty guys. They're basically going to kind of run a trench and trench up the ground, and then they're going to plant these pines in. To the hog, it's a fresh start. There's already a ditch. They're going to just work right down through it like they would a peanut row with seeds in it or corn in it. Now you're talking a crop. If you're looking at the pine tree as a crop, it's a long-term crop. I mean, a long-term crop. So a lot of money goes into that preparation to get those pines going, and every stage of that pine's life is development. The thinning process, getting the right pine trees, the right growth, and then they just keep growing, and you thin, and eventually you get to this level where we got to take them out, right? And so they end up taking all the pines out. So if you don't think that it's big money, especially to the pine growers. I mean, this is basically nothing but a gigantic cornfield, but it grows pine trees. And so it is a crop damage. I wanted to walk you back over here, show you a few tracks, okay, in the sand, to kind of explain a few things about hog tracks. We always get a lot of questions about hog tracks and deer tracks and the differences. And then show you a couple wallers over here where they've been wallering. So I would say some of this stuff is probably about a week old. We haven't had rain in a week. We've been watching the camera on this particular bait site, watching the water levels go down. It's going down fast because it's pushing 100 every day now. So I'm going to walk over here and show you a couple tracks, kind of give you an idea of what to look for on your own land. If you're like, is that a deer track or is that a hog track? It looks like we probably had, maybe a couple adult hogs and some babies come through here. Again, there's no cover, right? There's no place for them to hide. But they know, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're going to come through here. Now, there's a peanut field over there, but we got the hogs taken care of before the peanuts were planted. So, again, they're a migratory creature, always on the move. They get pushed around. They came in here. They knew there was a water source. They didn't hit our feeder. Don't know why. Hard to say why. But that's why that feeder's here. So, I'm going to walk over here and show you a couple tracks. Boars spend a lot of their time on their feet, so because of that, their toenails on their hoofs get kind of rounded. Kind of like a dog that's in a concrete kennel a lot. You don't have to trim their toenails much. So just keep that in mind when you start looking at tracks. Soft sand is really good, so that's what we got right here. So we'll walk over here. All right. So I think it looks pretty good in the camera. Okay, that's a hog track right there. So there's a toenail, there's a toenail, but they're rounded, not pointy like a deer. Same thing back here, rounded. That would be an adult hog. Could I tell you if that's a boar or sow? Could not. Step back a little bit. There's another one. Okay, rounded. Just think of like two big thumbs next to each other, and that's kind of what you're looking for in a hog track. I saw some little booger eater tracks. So right here, sand right there. So that's going to be a young hog. Couldn't tell you if there's, a whole bunch of them. They didn't root much here. They did a little bit here. Again, that's when you clear cut, a lot of, bark, pine needles, just a place for a grub to hide. It's dried up, but it's 100 degrees. Now, if you come over here, you're going to see some fresh wallers where they've been wallering. And don't ask me to spell the word waller because I couldn't spell it if I wanted to. And hell, it may not even be a word. I don't know, maybe some hog trapper made that word up a long time ago. But my definition of a waller is that right there. They're just going to find them a spot. It looks like a skidder from the logger was in here. So the logger came in with a skidder. He clipped that tree off right there, the cutter did, and then they drug it out of here. And then that's just a big tire track, right? That's just a big tire track. They said, hey, you know what? This is a good place for us to get nasty. So this area, if you look at some of these trees in here, we've done videos on it before. All these trees are just rubbed crazy from the hogs. So right now, it's not a good place for them. There's no place for them to hide. The water is going away, but they got a food source over there. But over there where the trap's at, they've got a food source. There's actually water over there too. And they got a place to hide. But because we are such caring people, we have a surprise over there for them called a Jaeger Pro single gate 12 panel system. So let's load that four-wheeler up and spin over that direction. And hopefully this is making sense to some of you. If not, maybe it's slightly entertaining. And just in case some of you out there feel like you're alone, you can't feel much more alone in that little single skinny pine tree that they left behind. He's got to be like going, man, what the hell happened to my family? But anyway, all right, here we go. Okay, so we're back here at the trap. So the hogs are definitely in the area, which is nothing new. We trap a lot. This trap's been here for years. Not as good as the other trap that we have about, I don't know, a mile that way. It's done really well. Same farmer. But pretty much same system here. You can always see with everything we do. We're going to have an ice camera right there, Jager Pro ice camera. Single gate Jager Pro system. We're running a 4-pole on-time feeder, and over there on the big pole is just a regular mine camera. So we're going to do our maintenance and get everything up and running. Now, here's a situation where we would do this. For some, it's like you can't wrap your head around this. We're going to make us a little Hansel and Gretel. I don't know who they are. I just know there were some people that made a trail, and we Hansel and Gretel all the time. So we're going to make a little Hansel and Gretel corn trail up this little 4-wheeler path back to that peanut field. And you'd be like, well, they can smell 19 miles away and smell corn, you know, in another country. And it's true that they have a great sense of smell, much better than a deer. But, I don't know, man. It's just weird like that. So what does it cost? Not a bunch of money, just to run a little corn trail there. They'll hit that corn trail. If the deer don't get it first or the coons don't get it, this trap doesn't have a lot of coons in it. The water's not real close by. They'll follow that in. They may come by. They're like, I don't know. It's all that metal and all that steel. But if they don't smell humans, which we're only here once a month for our maintenance, they don't smell humans. They're like, I'll check it out. Come in, check it out. The key all this is keep the batteries fresh. You got to keep corn in the feeder, corn on the ground. That's the key to all this. So anyway, I don't know if you can tell, man, but I mean, these mosquitoes here need an aircraft carrier. They just always bad in this, in the woods like this. But we're going to try to put it in high gear and get her done. Okay, we're wrapping up maintenance here. Sun's starting to go down, a little bit of a breeze, kind of sending them mosquitoes for a run. So what we've got here is, if you'll get my hat out of the way, ammo can, which is our 6-volt battery for the mine camera, flex conduit going up. Historical squirrel problems here. Tearing into that backup battery wire, which is like 20 bucks. But we run it through the flex conduit. We've had them eat into the plastic backup battery boxes, everything. That pretty much takes care of it. So that works really well for what we're doing. Not overall happy with the design of this trap, never have been. Because what you got to think about when you set these traps up, I don't care if it's a permanent, semi-permanent, or you're, hit and go guys. That camera is your view of this trap. I've dropped gates from California. I've dropped gates from Missouri. I've dropped gates from Florida. I've dropped gates from all over the place. And now the ones in California, the family had to respond. Obviously, I couldn't get here quick enough. But when you set these cameras up, what you have to think about is that's your eye. That's your eye looking. Okay, this trap, I don't like the design of it. I wish it was a little bit more oval. It's more round. I don't really like the placement of the feeder, but we've had great success with exactly the way it's designed, so I'm leaving it alone, but I don't like it. So think about that with camera placement. That camera is your eyes into the system. And when you've got hogs coming in, that's what matters for identification, learning the group, learning behaviors, knowing when to flip the switch, when not to flip the switch. I see guys just throw a camera up, it ought to be good enough. Nah, it ain't gonna be good enough. Those are your eyes. Your eyes are important for trapping hogs. So we're gonna wrap up here, get back out here, show you a little footage of the peanut field, and then we're gonna put it towards the house. So we're out here in a peanut field. This is a 53-acre non-irrigated field, hence the name, we call it the 53. But pretty field. I mean, I know for some folks out there in TV land, it's, talking about 97 degrees and 90% humidity. But man, in evenings like this, I'm telling you, I don't know. You come out here, you look at this field, and you know that we trap all year long to get it to this point. It feels very good. The brain likes to know it did something right. And so it's a struggle, it's a battle, it's a fight, just like life itself. But it feels pretty good when you can pop your head out here. You can see all them peanuts coming up, and some little booger eater in New York or wherever. One of my kids or boys or men, they're men now, I guess, going to shove that knife down in a peanut butter jar. Yeah, that's where it came from. So don't for a minute tell me that hogs ain't a universal problem. That's just peanuts we're talking about. We're not talking about corn and the ecosystem and the pines for lumber. I mean, it's worldwide. But let's spin you around there, man. Let's take a look at it. I mean, it's just it gives me goosebumps. It's a beautiful field, beautiful time of the night, I mean, get my big ugly mug out of the way. Spin you around there, That little breeze pushing them mosquitoes off us, there's something bigger out there besides hogs. So let's shoot down here to the ground and look at some of these hog tracks. All right, get back on task, I guess. So, all right. See that? So it's a younger hog. So it's like, two little skinny thumbs. Lost my Band-Aid. All right. Now come back here. This is like biology class, I guess. I don't know. I always got distracted in biology class. That's another story. See the points? See the difference? That's a deer. Points. Toenails. Okay? So like when you go to the eye doctor, is it 1 or 2? 3 or 4? Hell, I never know which. So let's make it easy. Points? No points. 2 fat thumbs. 2 fat thumbs. 2 fat skinny thumbs. There is such a thing. Alright? So those are peanuts growing down there in the ground. They don't grow up on top. Last year this was cotton. So part of our job, part of what we get paid to do is come out here and scout for tracks. So guess what? There you go. Here's another good one. Deer or hog? D, deer. Okay. So we're just looking for tracks. Here's some rooting. Something got them interested here, right? Who knows what it was? They're hogs. Saw some really good, distinct, educational tracks. There you go, right here. See it? Rounded, not pointed. So generally, hogs are always going to be rounded, not pointed. So hopefully that was helpful. We're going to buzz back to the Tacoma, load that puppy up. We're going to head back to the house. It's almost 8 o'clock. Really shouldn't be out here this late, but like I said, as hot as it is, we'll be okay, and we're going to get to the house. Got a big day tomorrow. But hopefully that kind of helped you, give it a little bit. Maybe enjoy the scenery, all of it. So we'll get back to you. Hang on. I was packing a truck up, looked over here at this hog hole. That's what I call it. It's kind of how you see life through different lenses at different times. First time I've ever really looked through that lens right there. All I ever see is a hog hole. I just know it's a bunch of wet hole or a bunch of hogs going waller. But I was sitting in the truck looking at it, and I had to get the camera back out. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. Just looking at it differently. So I'm gonna pull the camera back and let you all get a good shot at that. So I was looking at my mug. So let you take it all in. See that sun reflecting off of that water? nestled in with all these live oaks. These live oaks have seen a lot of stuff. They're still hanging on. All right. Okay, we're back. 9:20. So much for getting to bed early. Always fighting to sleep. Hopefully you enjoyed today. Got to see a little bit of peanut fields there, some good scenery. Kind of learned a little bit about hog tracks and deer tracks. Also, understanding that timber is a crop, and I mean it's big money when hogs get in there, and especially after they plant trees. And it's easy for them because the ground's already tore up, so they just go right down through there like they normally do. Once the trees get some size to them, they'll be fine. Got everything put away, board updated, charging. Now we're charging GoPros and cameras besides batteries. But yeah, so hopefully it was a good ride today for y'all. Beautiful evening. Couldn't ask for anything better than that. So got to try to get up there and eat my big ass salad and get to bed. I got 3 systems to hit tomorrow for maintenance. I've got one system I'm watching pretty hard right now that we may drop on, and then load up. I got physical therapy tomorrow, so I go to a physical therapist who specializes in manual therapy. It's about soft tissue, so it's about trying to keep me up and running. Just keep my joints working like they should. So I'm not sure if she'll let me enlighten the world with her skill set, but awesome woman. Been going to her for, God bless, 10-15 years. I mean, once a month, whether I need it or not, I go. She can tell me what's jacked up and what needs to be tweaked. It's not a chiropractor, it's soft tissue. So amazing woman. I'm not sure what I'd do if I didn't have her to keep me wired back together. For you that don't like the deeper side of our program, this is probably where you want to click off. I just got a little piece I want to say. I've been thinking about it today on the way home, and I don't get out much anymore. I mean, I did for a long time, and I've seen all different levels of society, and been in all different kinds of situations. Anymore, pretty much in the woods, as you can tell. I get out a little bit, not much. When I do get out, it's a little troubling to me. I think it is for a lot of folks. I see the lack of manners. I see the lack of, thoughtfulness, caring. Everybody's on autopilot. No eye contact. And there were several situations over the course of yesterday and today when, we were in Montgomery and traveling home and grocery stores and gas stations and restaurants. I don't know what happened, like just common decency. And I'm telling you that I can't let that, get the best of me. And so doing these videos is very difficult for me. Every time I hit that record button, I second guess this whole concept to me. I've been writing since I was in the 6th grade. I really started putting myself out there about 15 years ago. And it's hard to put yourself on paper and send it out to the world. It really is. It's very difficult, in my opinion, especially the way that I'm doing it, because I just put it out there, right? I don't hold back. I'm hoping that it connects with somebody and, flips a switch for them and they're doing good. Gives them a brief insight, or, gives them just a little fresher breath air of hope. But I know every generation thinks the next generation's gone to hell, but I've asked people that are still out there, TV land, and they're like, yeah, Josey, it's gotten worse. And so my wife had a Aunt Kathy, a phenomenal woman. Was a Catholic nun for 16 years, left the convent because she had the idea that God wanted her to do something different, which was get married and have 6 kids. And that's what she did. Not a lot of moral support for her decision. That's a big deal to leave the convent. I didn't get to really know her much until much later in her life, unfortunately. I wrote a story about her son, who was a Black Hawk pilot who was killed in the line of duty. And that's what kind of brought us together. She's been a major inspiration for me. If I could ever get all my crap together, I want to finish the book on her life. But she told me more than once before she punched out, she's gone now, that I had a message. That was it. Like a riddle master, like a riddle master would not being able to tell me what the message was. And so, what is the message? I don't know what the message is. So I continue to write. I continue to do what I can, right? I'm not the greatest guy in the world, but I always want to do more and balance that drive so it doesn't destroy, my marriage. It doesn't destroy my relationship with my boys or our boys, our circle. Passionate people can go off the deep end. And so every time I hit the record button, I say to myself, I'm like, is this Aunt Kathy telling me, that this is the message, right? I mean, are these hog trapping videos? They are. Am I showing you some cool scenery? Am I teaching you a few things, maybe making you chuckle? Yeah. But what is this right here? Is this my message? I don't freaking know. I really don't. But I can tell you that the message that I would have is, I ain't giving up. I'm not turning my back on whatever's out there, and accepting the fact that some people may not want to look me in the eye, or I'm going to step in front of an elderly woman and not say, excuse me, ma'am. I ain't giving up on that. That ain't happening. The passion that drives me to put hogs in a trap and get them off somebody's ground to protect our environment, our ecosystem, all the above, that passion is right there. I know some people want to turn their back on society and say, it's not my problem. I'm going to look away. I just can't do nothing about that. It's too big. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. At our fingertips, literally at our fingertips, we have the power to change the patterns that form. The slightest thing, from opening a door for somebody and just smiling, changes the course of those patterns. And so, if you wonder, what is this guy thinking? What drives him to get up in the morning? One, what drives me to get up in the morning is I'm not a lazy bastard. Excuse my language. I'm just not. I'll tell somebody I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Two, I want to make the world more tolerable. Same thing in the hog world. Make it more tolerable. We're never going to get rid of all the hogs. We're never going to get rid of evil. There's always going to be evil. There's always going to be people that are just misguided and out of line. There's always going to be the struggle for balance. But all I'm trying to do is just make it more tolerable. That's my footprint. That's why we have 3 gators, 2 4-wheelers, and different trucks. Because the footprint that we're making on people's property needs to be tolerable, not a gigantic rut. And when I'm out there in TV land, that's who I'm going to be. So that's my deep thought for tonight. Maybe way off track. Zeb may edit it out and be like, crap, the old man's lost his mind. I don't know. But if this is behind the curtain, this is the curtain, right? The curtain's gone. So, that being said, my bride has texted me that she has my big ass salad ready for me. And I've got to update my book for corn batteries that we use today. This is the book. And hit the sack. 69 volts this morning when I got up at the smart Your Stupid watch. Loving that. And hey, if this is working for you, man, let me know, right? Please, let me know. But I keep going back to Aunt Kathy, right? I'm going back to Aunt Kathy and she's saying, hey, you got a message. Is that the message? I don't know. Is it too long of a message? It might be. But I don't know what the hell everybody's in such a big hurry for. You know, I really don't. It's my buddy Bird Dog. It's a horrible thing, but my buddy Bird Dog, God bless him, love him like a brother. He said everybody's in a hurry to get old and suck oatmeal through a straw. What's the hurry? Take a deep breath, feel it, touch it, smell it, embrace it. Spread the hope, spread the love, man, right here, right? The love. Is that a little off-centered for a hog trapper? We're not those kind of hog trappers, right? We eat yogurt and sushi. Anyway, and we quote Whitman and Emerson. So on that note, I'm checking out for the evening. God bless you. I appreciate your support so far, and I imagine there will be some critics. But I'm not here to make everybody happy. I'm just here to make it more tolerable. Y'all have a good night.